So why is it that UFC fans hate wrestling so much, or jiu-jitsu, or any form of grappling? Basically anything that doesn't involve two fighters clobbering each other like they're cavemen to see who will have the last brain cell standing. And the answer to all that, in short, is just the fact that obviously, as we all know, it's pretty great. But obviously there's a lot more nuance to it than that, which we're going to get to in this very video. But before we do, I just want to say, guys, I'm a man of the people for a reason. I've been reading the comments. I've heard your feedback. You want me to put my clothes back on. I hear you loud and clear. So moving forward, I'll make sure to take this feedback on board. So after UFC 319, where Hamza Chimaev may have put on the most dominating title fight performance we've ever seen, it sparked debate online why people didn't find this fight the most exciting.
If you guys don't want to watch grappling and wrestling and jiu-jitsu, don't watch UFC. Don't. Go watch One Championship. Go watch Line Fighting. Go watch Glory. Go watch kickboxing.
For the casuals, this isn't going to be like a fun fight to watch.
Anyone that says it's a boring fight is a casual, okay? No, no offense.
That's right, my friends. If you just so happen to find this fight boring at all, then you're a casual piece of shit, and you should go f*** yourself. Is what I would say if I was a insecure, lame, wannabe MMA hardcore loser. Hell, I've even been getting called a casual myself by some losers for saying I found the fight boring while watching it live. Chat, who's with me? I just don't even care. You know what I mean? I don't even care. You know what I mean? If this is how Hamzat's going to fight from now on, it's not even fun anymore. I don't even find this fun. Is it impressive? Maybe. Is it boring? Yes, sir. As if I've ever once claimed to be a hardcore. And if you've ever seen me refer to myself as a hardcore fan, I give you permission to spit in my fucking face. And I just don't understand how your entertainment value of a fight dictates how much of a fan you are. You're allowed to find what you find boring, boring. And you're allowed to find what you find entertaining, entertaining. And it feels like MMA isn't just the only sport that does this, but maybe the only form of media where people feel the need to prove themselves to other fans for how much of a hardcore fan they are. Like, who gives a f***? And the funniest part of the term casual used in the MMA community is the fact that it's used with the energy of a racial slur. It's usually used when someone doesn't know how to articulate why they disagree with you on something, or they just dislike your take. So they'll call you a casual because at the end of the day, you're allowed to find a fight boring if you found it boring. Again, who gives a f***? And if you found the fight entertaining, then that's great, but I don't understand why someone else finding it boring would then bother you. That just doesn't, that doesn't even make any sense to me. In football, a fan isn't going to call you a casual because you find a 0-0 match boring. Everybody wants to see goals. And MMA's the exact same way, but people pretend as if knockouts aren't just the most exciting things you'll ever see. You have someone like Joe Rogan say some dumb shit like, I don't think you should stand people up ever. I think once a guy takes you down, the fight is on the ground. If it's boring for the audience, tough shit. I don't understand. What are you trying to prove, buddy? And it's especially rich from someone like Joe Rogan that gets paid to commentate front row at these events. And he still only shows up to cards that he finds interesting enough. And lastly, how do I know that Joe Rogan's just yapping out of his ass trying to act like an insecure hardcore fan? Well, you'll only ever see Joe Rogan like this when a crazy knockout happens. I've never once seen Joe Rogan pull a face like this while shoving John Anik off his seat because someone got in a crucifix position. And this applies to everyone that does this same lame shit. I mean, Paddy Pimlet saying only casuals don't enjoy this, but the most animated he got during his whole card reaction was the Lerone Murphy knockout. The same for Demetrius Johnson, and pretty much the same for, even the same for myself. Holy fuck! Lerone Murphy is him! The most simple way I can possibly put this is pretty much the neuron activation meme. In football, someone can score a 2-yard tap-in, or someone could score a 40-yard screamer. It brings the same result, that is one goal. But one is far more exciting than the other. Or the same with basketball. Someone can score 2 free throws, or equally, someone can dunk on somebody, putting their balls in their mouth and having them folded like a lawn chair. It brings the same amount of points, but one is far more fun than the other. And that goes the same for MMA fans. They don't hate wrestling or grappling or jiu-jitsu. They just want action. They fucking love Charles Oliveira. Hell, even when you have Adesanya versus Pereira in the UFC, 2 former glory kickboxers, some of the funnest parts of the fight is their sloppy as wrestling exchanges and Adesanya taking Pereira down. Or vice versa, where you have 2 wrestlers in Usman and Covington have a 25-minute cardio kickboxing match. Because at the end of the day, sport, especially for fans, is entertainment. The UFC is an entertainment company. And you can't say otherwise with the UFC. I mean, even Dana White's Contender Series, which is a series built around people fighting for the opportunity to be signed by the UFC, they still want you to put on entertaining fights to get signed.
Hey, you got 9 weeks. If you get invited to Contender Series, don't go out there and just try to win. It's about winning, but winning impressively to get a contract. Tuesday night in Las Vegas is supposed to be fun. Hey, on Contender, you don't get a walkout song, you don't get an introduction, but you can introduce yourself by doing something special. So go out there and do the right thing, man. Come on, let's go.
And then we probably have the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in response to people complaining about fights being boring, especially when they're grappling matches, which is, it's mixed martial arts, and they're mixing the martial arts. Off. Because mixed martial arts is built on the idea of a combat sport that puts all martial arts together to see which one reigns supreme. Hence why it's not called mixing martial arts, because it's not all about how well-rounded somebody is, because a well-rounded fighter can be beat by a specialist. Even the early UFC is built off seeing a jiu-jitsu guy in full gi versus a boxer with one glove, looking like it's some kind of Tekken matchup. Or you'd have a matchup that looks like some guy taking on a sumo wrestler. And even if you are an MMA fan that does prefer striking over grappling, you shouldn't have to feel as if you're a casual because of it, and vice versa. And I can't believe I'm even having to make the point for these people saying it's mixing the martial arts, but being one-dimensional in grappling is the exact same equivalent as being one-dimensional in striking. It's the same thing. You're not a sophisticated fan or better than anyone else watching MMA with a fine wine. And you'll also hear the same NPC cliche statements after a boring grappling match every time from these fake, insecure, hardcore fans, which would be, I actually like grappling. Well, so do most MMA fans. They just want it to be fun. There's a lot you can find fun in grappling. You can just also equally find boring in grappling. And on top of that, saying such a broad statement as, I actually like grappling to look better than everyone else, is pretty weird, because you would never hear anyone after Adesanya Romero put on one of the most boring matches ever say, I actually like striking. Because there's nothing to prove and no hardcore fan bonus points to check in by saying, I actually like striking. Because everybody likes striking. Even the jiu-jitsu nerds like Joe Rogan will only ever make this face as a result of striking. And then whenever there's a boring grappling match, you'll always hear someone say, well, this fight was fun for those that actually train. I don't know who these people train with, unless it's ChatGPT, but they're yapping out of their ass. You can go into your local jiu-jitsu class, and you can probably find someone in there that thinks Ryan Hall is shit to watch. And they may prefer watching strikers because they prefer watching knockouts, and they find that more fun to watch. Even my very own sensei, that's a black belt himself, won jiu-jitsu tournaments, winning what I can only describe as a knockoff Russian UFC title, whatever the fuck this is, and now coaches jiu-jitsu himself. I'll never forget the first thing he ever told me about jiu-jitsu, which was, yeah, it's kind of gay. And anytime I've ever watched UFC with this man, we're trying to see violence, because violence is fun. I mean, in terms of MMA, it's out of context, that sounds crazy, but like in terms of watching UFC. And on top of that, we have to stay up till 6 a.m. spamming monsters watching UFC. Like, God forbid we want to see a fucking knockout. So I have no idea what gyms these people go to that say this shit, as if they're training with the most respected martial artist to ever live. Like, they're just normal people in these gyms. I just feel as if these people that say this basically have never been in a gym before, and they just assume that's what it's like. Although maybe it's the fact that I live in England and most of us here kind of hate life and everything about it, and we just kind of look for any bit of fun to make fun of. Maybe it's that.
If you want to see stand-up man, go watch boxing. Jackson Quick 278, I agree with you. If you guys don't want to watch grappling and wrestling and jiu-jitsu, don't watch UFC. Don't. Go watch One Championship. Go watch Lion Fighting. Go watch Glory. Go watch kickboxing.
Like, you are aware that kickboxing and Muay Thai also have boring matches. It's the same people that tell you to go watch WWE. Like, I'm not 12 years old. That's also shit. And it's as if saying, well, if you like knockouts, why don't you just go watch Power Slap? Again, I'm not 12 years old, and I don't watch the Nelk Boys. Fuck off. And again, when it comes to Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev in particular, it's not that the fight isn't impressive. it's incredibly impressive. It's a legacy-defining win for Khamzat Chimaev. But at the same time, you are allowed to find it boring if you found it boring. And just finding one fight boring in particular doesn't mean you think the fighter is boring or shitting on him about it. I think Khamzat Chimaev is usually very fun in all of his fights. I just didn't enjoy this one as much, though probably his most impressive win yet. And lastly, most fans don't seem to admit this, but we're all pretty much biased at this point. There's a lot of tribalism in MMA nowadays, so if my favorite fighter had to do that to win a title fight, I'd also be happy in celebrating it too. And arguing who is to blame out of the fighters is irrelevant. It's easy to say Dricus du Plessis should just work on his takedown defense. It's very hard to stop a takedown from the man that can get to your hips in a matter of milliseconds. And regardless what fighter you blame for why a fight is boring, someone that finds a fight boring is just still gonna find the fight boring. It doesn't really make any difference. And who had the same exact problem as a champion being regarded as boring? Oh yeah, the glory kickboxer Israel Adesanya for the longest time. But when a striker puts on an absolute stinker, you don't have some dickhead trying to prove a point by telling you to, oh, why don't you go watch jiu-jitsu or wrestling? So to conclude, all I can say is just don't be this annoying dickhead. Please.
Sign up to my boy's YouTube channel. That is JG2. And for those who don't, you can do me a favor and you can bend the knee to King Triple C too.